YouTube? Today I'm going to do a video on intermittent fasting, and consider this like a follow-up to the other videos which I posted on the topic. Now in this video I'm not going to get into the timing of how you can schedule your intermittent fasting according to your work and all sorts of other stuff. I still get lots of messages from people that are asking me how they can coordinate their intermittent fasting fasted periods and their eating windows when it comes to their daily routine and their work schedule and stuff like that. People have shift work and all sorts of crazy stuff. I can't really help you with your schedule that much. I can give you the basic advice which I've done in the past, and I'll reiterate that here very quickly. If you're getting into intermittent fasting, start slowly, start small, and do a short fasting period of around 12 to 14 hours, maybe 15 hours, and then have the remainder of the day for your eating window. Don't get right into it by doing like an 18-hour, 20-hour, or even more than that fast, and then have like a 4-hour eating window left for your first or second fasting attempt. What I would recommend is getting in a little bit slower than that and eventually getting to the point where you're up to like an 18-hour fast and maybe see how that goes for you. It's a pretty aggressive approach to have a long fasting period and then a short eating window. So you might not want to dive right in like that, but take things slowly, and it's not a race. You'll get there eventually. When I first did intermittent fasting, I practiced it for about 3.5 months, and I did it every single day, and I started with about a 14-hour fasting period, and then I worked my way up. Towards the end I was like 18 to 20 hours. And during that time I lost tons and tons of weight. I leaned up pretty nicely, and I'll put some pictures up on the screen here so you can take a look at that. It worked out pretty nicely for me. Nowadays what I do is fast usually 1 to 3 times a week, and I don't go too aggressive with it. I'm not necessarily interested in losing weight at this time of my training or my fitness health journey. What I'm interested in is packing on muscle, and I'm interested in the other benefits of intermittent fasting in terms of my HGH production, in terms of my energetic levels and things like that. So I'm not so much in it for the weight loss aspect, I'm more in it for the health aspect and the other benefits that come with intermittent fasting. Even if you want to get into like spiritual clarity and things like that, I find that comes with fasting. So right now what I'm going to do is give you some really simple tips that you can use to improve your intermittent fasting experience, and this is based on what I'm currently doing when I fast between 1 to 3 days a week. So let's get into this. So the first thing I'd like to address is actually something a lot of people message me about, and that is how to handle their fasted state when they first wake up in the morning. Now a lot of people like to have coffee or tea or even breakfast, but you need to be really careful with that because you're going to take yourself out of a fasted state by consuming certain foods, taking in those calories. You're basically going to spike your insulin levels, increase the glucose in your body, and increase the glycogen. So what you actually want to do is try to give yourself some energy sources in terms of your food, but you also want to maintain the fasted state. So there's a way that you can do this, and it's basically by replacing the glucose or the glycogen with ketones or fat sourced energy. So basically, one approach which I've been using is MCT oil or MCT oil powder. It works pretty well. So I'm going to share with you a product here I've gotten on screen, and I'll put the link in the description below to this. It's from Newton, and it is a MCT oil. Now it works really great because what you actually do is put this in with your coffee in the mornings. I would recommend 1 teaspoon to start, maybe work your way up to 2 teaspoons over about a week or so. Just see how your body agrees with it. You don't want to just all of a sudden flood yourself with multiple teaspoons of this stuff and take in all sorts of calories, and then your body's just going to reject it and you're going to feel sick and all sorts of stuff. Try 1 teaspoon, and I'll put the calories on the screen for you as well so you can see that on the label. But you're going to stay in a fasted state when you do this, and you're going to actually have some energy that's going to carry you throughout the day. The reason for this is because the MCT oil is typically converted to ketones in your liver within about 30 minutes or so. So that's going to actually give you the necessary energy and calories to carry you throughout your fasted period right up into your eating window. So I would recommend trying MCT oil or some sort of replacement supplement for a creamer, which you would normally use in your coffee in the morning, and cut out the sugar entirely from that coffee. So give this a shot, and I find it works really well, and it actually fills me and satisfies me pretty well for the rest of the day up until I get until my eating window. So that's a tip number 1. Tip number 2, and we'll wrap things up after this, is that I recommend you prepare your food in advance. So don't scramble last minute after your fasted period, right before you're getting into your eating window, to figure out how you're going to consume those necessary calories, macronutrients, micronutrients. You want to be prepared. So I highly recommend, and I talk about this a lot on my Instagram account if you want to check it out here. I recommend preparing your food in advance, days in advance, and then just putting it in the fridge, putting it in some containers, and that way you're ready once you're breaking fast, once you're hitting your eating window, you've got your first meal lined up, your next meal's after that, and if you're going for a third meal after that, you're ready as well. So you're prepared, you know what you're doing, you've already planned out your macros, your micros, you've already planned out all the caloric intake for the day, and this way you're setting yourself up for success. That's the best way to do intermittent fasting. I find a lot of people, they're not very practical with their fasting. They don't plan it out properly, they don't schedule things. They're kind of just going through it on a whim, I guess you could say. They don't have much not much thought is going into it. So try out scheduling things, preparing your food in advance, and you're going to set yourself up for success, because once you finish your day, you're going to feel full, you're going to hit all your numbers in terms of your macros, micros, things like that, and you're setting yourself up the next day for success as well, because that stuff carries over to the next day. So your energy levels, if you're not fasted properly the first day, you didn't eat the proper amount of food during your eating window, the next day you're going to feel like crap. And eventually, maybe you'll feel okay, but the day after you're gonna feel like crap. It'll catch up with you. So make sure you're always eating the appropriate amount of foods and taking in the appropriate amount of macronutrients, micronutrients, and calories for each fasted day, because otherwise you're just not supporting your body properly, and it will catch up with you, and you're not gonna reap the benefits, the full benefits of intermittent fasting. So I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions about fasting, always feel free to reach out. I tend to get quite a few messages about it already, but I address them over time. But feel free to message me here on any of the socials, or hit me up on Instagram, or actually I have a new app now, so you can check that out in the Google Play Store, link in the description below. But thank you for watching this video as always. Hope you have good success with intermittent fasting, and I will catch you again in that next one. Take it easy.